Imagine finding a single penny that could change your life forever. You're sorting through an old coffee jar of coins, and tucked between the dull copper tones is one that looks a little different. You flip it over, and there it is, the small but mighty D mint mark beneath the date 1964. You probably think, it's just a penny. But what if I told you that this tiny coin, if it happens to be the right one, could be worth nearly $1 million, and in some cases even more? Let that sink in for a moment. A penny worth up to $964,000 in today's market. Not bad for something most of us ignore on the sidewalk, right? But here's the thing, the story behind the 1964 D Lincoln penny isn't just about its price tag. It's a story about opportunity, about forgotten wealth hiding in plain sight, and about how one small discovery could unlock a life most people only dream about. So, how can a simple 1-cent coin carry a value so massive it rivals a luxury home? To understand that, we have to go back to the early 1960s, a time when America was shifting rapidly. The country was booming, technology was advancing, and the U.S. Mint was under pressure. 1964 was a year of chaos for coin production. There were shortages of small change everywhere, and the Mint in Denver had to push millions of Lincoln cents into circulation. But here's where things get interesting. In that massive rush, certain pennies slipped through the cracks with rare features, minting errors, and striking varieties that collectors today go absolutely wild for. Now, before you start tearing apart your coin jars, let's talk about what makes these coins special. The 1964 D Lincoln penny was struck in copper, 95% copper to be exact, but a few coins came out with unique mistakes. Some were double dies, where the image or lettering appears slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. Others had weak strikes, die breaks, or off-center impressions. And then there are the ultra-rare transitional errors, coins that were mistakenly struck on leftover planchets from previous years. One of these coins, in pristine uncirculated condition with a dramatic minting flaw, was recently valued at $964,000. Now, here's the kicker. These coins look deceptively ordinary. That's right, the $1 million penny might be hiding in plain sight in your collection, or even in a forgotten change jar in your kitchen. Makes you wonder how many fortunes have slipped through people's fingers without them realizing, doesn't it? And let's be honest, who hasn't brushed off old coins, thinking they're worthless? But coin collectors and wealth seekers know something most people don't. Value often hides in the everyday. The 1964 D penny is proof of that. Because while over 3.7 billion of these pennies were minted, only a handful have the rare characteristics that send their value skyrocketing. So the challenge isn't just finding a 1964 D penny. It's finding the right one. Imagine being the person who unknowingly spends their $1 million penny at a gas station, or worse, drops it into a vending machine for a pack of gum. Tragic, right? But that's the reality. It's happened before, and it'll happen again. That's why awareness matters. That's why people who take the time to learn, to research, and to look closely end up being the ones who profit from history's mistakes. Now, let's talk about how you can tell if your 1964 D penny might be one of the valuable ones. Start by checking the condition. Collectors call it the grade. A high-grade penny, with sharp details and little to no wear, could easily fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But combine that with a visible minting error, a double die on Lincoln's face or lettering, a repunched mint mark, or even a dramatic off-center strike, and now you're talking serious money. The kind of money that can pay off debt, fund a dream, or even change your entire lifestyle. Still think coins are boring? Think again. This is the thrill of the hunt. A modern-day treasure search, where knowledge and patience can lead to extraordinary people across America are cashing in every single year. Estate sales, flea markets, even garage cleanouts have turned ordinary folks into overnight success stories. The market for rare coins is growing fast. With inflation rising and investors looking for hard assets, collectible coins have become one of the most stable and exciting alternative investments. The demand for high-quality 1964 D Lincoln pennies is higher than ever, and the prices keep climbing. That $964,000 record sale might not be the ceiling. It could just be the beginning. So here's the question. What are you doing about it? Are you sitting on a small fortune without realizing it? Or will you take action, dig through those jars, and see what you really have? Because opportunity doesn't knock, It hides in plain sight. And this is one of those moments where the difference between maybe one day and today is the day could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, you might be wondering, how do I know if mine is worth that much? Simple, get it professionally graded. Services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and grade your coin, confirming whether it's a common variety or one of the ultra-rare million-dollar specimens. Think of it as a small investment for peace of mind and potentially a life-changing payday. And let's not forget the emotional side of it all. Imagine holding history in your hand, a piece of American legacy that survived decades, carrying stories of the past, only to reward you in the present. It's not just about the money. It's about being part of something bigger, a rare connection to a moment frozen in copper and time. But here's the twist: many experts believe there are still undiscovered 1964-era pennies out there. Somewhere in a dusty attic, an old collection, or a forgotten piggy bank, another hidden gem is waiting to be found. Maybe it's waiting for you to so. As we wrap up, let me ask you this. What would you do if you found a penny worth nearly $1 million? Would you sell it immediately, frame it, or maybe use it to start a new chapter of your life? Because the truth is, wealth doesn't always start with luck. Sometimes it starts with awareness, curiosity, and the courage to look closer. The 1964 Lincoln penny isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of hidden potential, waiting to reward those who pay attention. So go ahead, check your coins. Take another look at that old jar. Because somewhere, out there, a single penny could be waiting to change your story forever. And if it does, you'll never look at spare change the same way again. Don't miss out. Your wealth could already be in your hands. Imagine finding a single penny in your pocket that could change your life forever. It looks ordinary, brown, worn, maybe even a bit scratched. But what if I told you that one small cent from 1969 could be worth nearly $1 million today? That's right, a 1969 Lincoln penny, yes, the kind you might still find stuck between your car seats, has sold for up to $969,000 in the current market. It's not a fairy tale. It's real money. And some people are cashing in right now while others are unknowingly spending theirs at a gas station. Before you empty your wallet or raid your old coin jar, let's talk about why this particular penny has become one of the most sought-after treasures in American coin collecting history, and how you could be sitting on one without even knowing it. Back in 1969, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln pennies. Most of them were just that, ordinary coins meant for everyday use. But during this time, something extraordinary happened at the Denver Mint. A rare minting error occurred, one that created a handful of coins with a doubled image on the obverse side, the side showing Abraham Lincoln's profile. This phenomenon, known as a doubled die, gave the date, the word liberty, and the phrase "in God we trust" a strikingly bold, doubled appearance. It wasn't intentional. It was a mechanical fluke, one of those rare accidents that turn common coins into priceless artifacts. Now, here's where the story gets fascinating. In the late 1960s, the U.S. government was cracking down on counterfeit currency, and when reports of weird-looking 1969 pennies started surfacing, officials thought they were fakes. The Secret Service actually confiscated many genuine double-die pennies, believing them to be counterfeit. Imagine that, real collectors losing fortunes before they even knew what they had. That tragic misunderstanding is part of what makes surviving 1969 double-die pennies so incredibly rare today. But here's the twist. Not all 1969 pennies are valuable. In fact, most of them are worth just 1 cent. The key is in the details. Only the coins with the genuine double-die obverse, clearly visible doubling on the inscriptions, hold immense value. If you look at a 1969 penny and notice that Lincoln's image or the words appear doubled or shadowed, don't ignore it. You could be holding the down payment for your dream house or your retirement fund. Collectors today are willing to pay extraordinary amounts for these coins. The record price so far? A jaw-dropping $969,000 for a near-perfect example in mint condition. Even circulated versions, coins that have been in pockets and cash registers for decades, can sell for thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. That's the beauty of this hidden treasure. It doesn't have to be flawless to be life-changing. Think about it for a moment. How many pennies have you ignored in your lifetime? How many have you tossed into a jar or left in a tip tray? What if one of those overlooked coins could erase your debts, pay for your kids' college, or fund the business you've always dreamed of starting? The possibility is enough to make anyone rethink what small change really means. Now, let's get practical. If you're wondering how to check whether your 1969 D penny is valuable, start by examining the front of the coin under good lighting. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. Look closely at the date and the inscriptions. True double die coins will show bold, distinct doubling. Not a slight blur, not damage, but a clear duplicate of the letters and numbers. Be cautious of coins that appear suspiciously altered or polished. These are often fakes. Real experts and grading services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate your coin for a small fee, and that authentication can mean the difference between selling a coin for $10 or for hundreds of thousands. There's also a deeper message here. Every valuable coin tells a story of history, craftsmanship, and pure chance. The 1969 D Lincoln penny represents the idea that wealth can be hidden in plain sight. It's a reminder that the opportunities we overlook every day might be the ones that could change our lives. Sounds poetic, doesn't it? But it's also true. Some people spend years chasing wealth in the stock market, real estate, or crypto. Yet, for others, wealth was sitting quietly in an old coffee can or a forgotten drawer. That's the magic of coin collecting. It turns curiosity into opportunity. And for those who act fast, before more people flood the market or before prices stabilize, the reward can be staggering. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked your spare change? Your childhood coin collection? Your grandparents' old penny jars? If your answer is never, you might want to start today. Because while most people are scrolling through their phones looking for get-rich-quick schemes, others are quietly finding life-changing wealth in the most unexpected place. A penny. The market for rare coins has seen renewed energy over the past few years. Economic uncertainty has pushed many people to invest in tangible assets, gold, silver, and yes, collectible coins. And as demand grows, so does the value of these rare pieces of history. Experts predict that the top specimens of the 1969 D double die penny could soon cross the $1 million threshold. Just imagine holding one of those right now. Would you sell it immediately? Or would you hold it, waiting for its value to climb even higher? Tough decision, right? Hesitation can cost you. Every day, collectors are buying, selling, and discovering new coins. The question is, will you be one of them? Or will you let another hidden fortune slip through your fingers? Opportunity doesn't always announce itself with flashing lights. Sometimes, it jingles quietly in your pocket. The 1969 D Lincoln penny is proof that fortune often favors the observant, the curious, and the bold. So go check your pennies. Who knows, your next step toward financial freedom might be sitting in the palm of your hand. And if you do find that rare coin, well, don't spend it on a cup of coffee. Unless that coffee costs $969,000. What if I told you that sitting in a dusty jar somewhere in your house, hidden among forgotten change, could be a single copper penny worth nearly $1 million or more? Sounds impossible, right? But the truth is, one of the most extraordinary coins ever minted by the United States, a 1971 S Lincoln penny, has stunned collectors and investors alike, reaching prices that could change a person's life overnight. Every great story begins with something ordinary. In this case, it's a 1-cent coin. The 1971 S Lincoln penny doesn't look much different from the others. Abraham Lincoln's iconic profile, the same familiar copper color, the same humble denomination. But what separates the few that are worth fortunes from the millions of others is a story of precision, error, and timing that has turned this little piece of metal into a treasure hunt across America. Before we dive deeper, ask yourself this. When was the last time you actually looked at your pennies? Most people don't. They drop them in jars, leave them in cars, or give them away without a thought. But what if one of those pennies could pay off your mortgage? Or send your grandkids to college? That's the reality for collectors who discovered rare variations of the 1971 S Mint Mark Lincoln penny. Let's rewind for a moment. In 1971, the U.S. Mint in San Francisco produced proof coins, high-quality, mirror-finish versions struck for collectors. These were not meant for circulation, yet a few of them slipped out under mysterious circumstances. Some of these proof coins carry double dies, errors created when the die that strikes the coin is misaligned ever so slightly. The result? Letters and numbers on the coin show a ghostly doubling effect, especially visible on Liberty, and the date, 1971. These errors were never meant to exist, yet they do, and they've become the holy grail for Lincoln penny hunters. Because of their extreme rarity, collectors and investors are willing to pay staggering sums to own one. Recently, one pristine example of the 1971's double die obverse Lincoln penny sold for around $971,000. And experts believe that if another flawless specimen surfaces, it could easily break the $1 million mark. Now, here's where things get interesting. Not every 1971's penny is valuable. In fact, most are worth only a few cents. The key lies in the details, the tiny, almost imperceptible doubling that only sharp eyes or magnification can confirm. So, if you're sitting there thinking, I've probably got a few old pennies somewhere, this might be the perfect time to dig them out. The next one you examine could be your ticket to financial freedom. But how can you tell if your 1971's penny is special? Look carefully at Lincoln's portrait. Does the Liberty seem thicker than usual? Are the letters of "In God We Trust" showing a shadow-like doubling effect? Does the 1971 appear to have a faint outline, like it was struck twice? If so, congratulations, you might just be holding a small fortune in your hand. Of course, before you start celebrating, authentication is everything. Many collectors rush to sell their coins, only to find out they've been mistaken. To truly know what you have, you'll want to get it certified by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. These organizations don't just confirm authenticity. They assign a grade based on the coin's condition, which can make the difference between a few $100s and several $100,000. And here's where the fear creeps in. How many people have spent these coins unknowingly? How many of these rare treasures slipped through someone's fingers at a grocery store counter, never to be seen again? The truth is, more often than not, life-changing coins go unnoticed because people assume they're worthless. It's a modern tragedy wrapped in copper. But let's not dwell too long on missed opportunities. Let's talk about yours. Imagine being the person who finds one of these coins in a box of old change and learns it's worth almost $1 million. That story has happened before, and it can happen again. The question is, will you be the one who finds the next great rarity? The current market for rare Lincoln pennies is heating up. As the economy shifts and investors search for tangible assets, collectible coins have emerged as a surprisingly strong hedge. And here's the exciting part. Experts predict that rare varieties like the 1971's double die could appreciate even further in the next decade. So while others might overlook these copper beauties, those who act now, those who learn, collect, and verify, stand to benefit the most. Still, there's a sense of urgency. The more time passes, the harder it becomes to find these coins in circulation. Most have already been pulled by collectors, leaving only a handful waiting to be discovered. And you can bet that professional treasure hunters and coin enthusiasts are already searching. So if you've ever dreamed of living wealthier, of turning something ordinary into something extraordinary, this is your moment. You're sitting at your kitchen table, a small pile of coins spread before you, a magnifying glass in hand. You spot something unusual on the date, your pulse quickens. You take a closer look, and there it is, the doubling clear as day. You've just found the legendary 1971's double die Lincoln penny. Suddenly, that jar of change isn't just spare cash. It's an investment. It's history. It's opportunity. And before you laugh it off, consider this. Not long ago, a collector purchased one of these rare pennies for less than the cost of lunch. Later, it sold at auction for hundreds of thousands. What could be hiding in your own collection? So, don't let fear of missing out haunt you later. Take a few minutes today, yes, today, to go through your old coins. Look for that small S mint mark beneath the date and study it closely. Even if you don't find the $1 million penny, you might stumble upon another rare variety worth hundreds or even thousands. Because when it comes to coins, knowledge truly is wealth. At the end of the day, this story isn't just about a coin. It's about what it represents. Hidden potential, second chances, and the simple idea that greatness often hides in plain sight. The 1971's Lincoln penny may be tiny, but its message is enormous. Never underestimate the value of what you already have. So, as you reach for that old jar of change, remember this: the next time you hear the faint clinking of pennies, it might not be spare change at all. It might be the sound of opportunity calling your name. And who knows, maybe the next millionaire collector is you. Imagine reaching into an old coin jar, pulling out a dull copper penny, and realizing it could change your life forever. Sounds like a dream, doesn't it? But what if I told you that one specific penny, the 1980 mint Mark Lincoln cent, has recently sold for as much as $980,000? Yes, almost $1 million for a coin you might have tossed into a vending machine without a second thought. Now, before you rush to dig through your couch cushions or your grandfather's coin collection, let's take a closer look at why this ordinary-looking coin has extraordinary value. Because the truth is, there's more to this story than just a lucky find. It's a lesson in opportunity, timing, and knowing what others overlook. In 1980, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln pennies. Most were made of copper-plated zinc, and all bore the same design we've seen for decades: Abraham Lincoln's dignified portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But here's where it gets interesting. Pennies minted in Philadelphia that year didn't carry a mint mark. Normally, that would make them less special. However, due to a combination of striking errors, die varieties, and high-grade preservation, a few 1980 no-mint mark pennies turned out to be incredibly rare and incredibly valuable. So what makes one of these coins worth nearly $1 million? Let's talk condition first. Coin collectors or numismatists value coins based on their grade, essentially how perfect they are. A 1980 no-mint mark penny graded MS 68 or higher, meaning flawless under magnification, can fetch jaw-dropping sums at auction. Why? Because out of the hundreds of millions made, only a handful survived in near-perfect condition. Think of it like finding a needle in a mountain of haystacks, and that needle is made of gold. But the story doesn't end there. Some of these pennies also feature rare minting errors, such as double die obverse, where the lettering or date appears doubled due to a striking misalignment. These errors are incredibly sought after by collectors and can multiply a coin's value dramatically. Imagine holding one of these in your hand and realizing you've been carrying a 5-figure or even 6-figure treasure all this time. Makes you want to check your change, doesn't it? Now, let's pause for a moment. Why are people willing to pay so much for a coin that originally cost 1 cent? It's not just about rarity. It's about history, nostalgia, and the thrill of the hunt. Every collector is chasing a piece of American legacy, a tangible artifact of the nation's economic journey. And when you combine that emotional connection with scarcity and condition, you have a perfect storm of demand. Here's something many people don't realize. The market for rare coins isn't just for hobbyists. It's a serious investment arena where values can skyrocket overnight. In fact, the 1980 penny that reached $980,000 didn't start at that price. Years ago, coins like it sold for only a few $100s. But as grading technology improved and collectors competed for perfection, prices exploded. This means that the penny sitting quietly in your coin jar today could be tomorrow's record breaker. Still, there's a flip side. For every collector who strikes gold, there are hundreds who miss their chance simply because they don't know what to look for. That's where the fear comes in, the fear of throwing away wealth without realizing it. Think about it. How many times have you used exact change, not knowing what those coins were really worth? It's almost unsettling to imagine how much hidden money slips through our fingers every single day. So, how can you tell if your 1980 no-mint mark penny is valuable? Start with the basics. Look at the condition. The fewer scratches, nicks, and signs of wear, the better. Then check for sharp details in Lincoln's hair, beard, and jacket. Next, examine the date and lettering closely under good lighting or with a magnifier. If you see doubling in the letters Liberty or the date 1980, that's a strong indicator of a double die variety. Finally, consider having your coin graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. Yes, it costs a bit upfront, but a professional grade could turn a 10-cent curiosity into a life-changing windfall. Here's a thought. What if the next coin you find is worth more than your car or your mortgage? The idea seems far-fetched until it isn't. Every major discovery story starts the same way. Someone somewhere decided to look closer. Maybe it's your turn. Of course. Humor me for a moment. Imagine explaining to your friends that your $1 million investment was found between couch cushions or in an old coffee can. They might laugh at first. Then you'll show them the check from the auction house. Who's laughing now? As coin values continue to rise, especially for copper-based pennies and early minting errors, there's an urgency to act. Collectors worldwide are snapping up high-grade coins faster than ever. Waiting too long could mean watching opportunities disappear, just like the coins that vanish from circulation every day. The truth is, wealth doesn't always come from Wall Street or real estate. Sometimes it comes from the small, overlooked things we pass by without a second glance, like a 1-cent piece from 1980. The difference between the person who gets rich and the one who doesn't is often just awareness. And you're already ahead, because now you know. Before you go, here's something to think about. Somewhere, right now, another 1980 penny is sitting unnoticed in someone's drawer, waiting for the right pair of eyes to recognize its value. Could it be yours? Stay curious, stay sharp, and never underestimate the power of what's in your pocket. And if you're serious about uncovering wealth in your own coins, don't forget to subscribe, because in the next video, we're revealing another common-looking penny that's turning collectors into millionaires overnight. Trust me, you won't want to miss that one. What if I told you that one of those little copper coins sitting in a jar somewhere in your house could be worth nearly $1 million or more? Imagine paying for your next home, car, or even your retirement with a coin you thought was pocket change. Today, we're diving into the incredible story of the 1987 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, how an everyday coin has shocked collectors and investors alike, and why this small piece of metal could hold the key to unimaginable wealth. Now, before you start checking under your couch cushions, let's understand what makes this coin so special. The 1987 Lincoln penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which, as you might know, doesn't use a mint mark. That's why you'll often see no mint mark on coins from Philly. But here's where it gets interesting. Some of these 1987 no mint mark pennies weren't just ordinary circulation coins. A few rare ones were struck with die errors, off-metal compositions, or double designs. And those tiny imperfections invisible to most people, are what transform a 1-cent coin into a life-changing fortune. Think about it. While most people spent these coins without a second glance, a small number of collectors quietly discovered varieties with strong doubling on Lincoln's face, or strange anomalies in the lettering of Liberty and In God We Trust. A handful were even minted on experimental planchets, different metal blanks used by mistake. When certified and graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, these coins started fetching eye-watering sums. One verified 1987 no-mint mark penny sold for a staggering $987,000 in a private sale. Yes, nearly $1 million for a penny you might have walked past on the sidewalk. Crazy, right? But here's the kicker, there could still be more out there. And that's what has collectors buzzing. The fear of missing out is real because once these coins are found, the prices only climb higher. The excitement in the numismatic community is electric. People are scouring their old jars, checking rolls from the bank, even buying sealed bags of pennies from the 1980s just hoping to strike gold. Or, in this case, copper. Now, if you're thinking, why 1987? What's so special about that year? You're not alone. On the surface, 1987 was a typical year for penny production. Over 4.6 billion were made. But somewhere in that mountain of coins, a few slipped through with rare minting quirks. And because no one was paying much attention back then, many of these errors went unnoticed, circulating quietly for decades. That means your old collection, your parents' coin jar, or even your spare change drawer might still hide one of these rare treasures. Here's where it gets fascinating. Professional graders say that condition can multiply the value of any coin by thousands. A circulated 1987 penny might fetch a few dollars. But an uncirculated one with sharp edges and a clear strike can reach hundreds. Add a unique error and suddenly you're looking at tens of thousands. And if your coin happens to be one of those few ultra-rare die varieties, congratulations, you're holding something worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Maybe even that $1 million jackpot that it's almost poetic. Isn't it? Something so small, so ordinary, holding the power to change someone's life overnight. The idea that wealth could literally be sitting in a forgotten drawer, waiting to be rediscovered, is both thrilling and humbling. You might laugh at the idea of becoming a penny millionaire, but think about it. Someone already has. And if history repeats itself, and it often does in the coin world, someone else will too. Now, I know what you're probably wondering. How do I know if I have one? Start by looking closely at the date, 1987, with no mint mark under the year. Examine Lincoln's profile under good light or a magnifying glass. Is there any doubling on his eye, his nose, or the lettering? Does the coin look slightly off-color or heavier than usual? If yes, don't ignore it. That could be your ticket to financial freedom. Even better, send it to a professional grading service. Yes, it costs a little, but think of it as a small investment for a potentially massive return. You wouldn't want to misplace a coin worth a house, would you? Besides, once a coin is officially graded and encapsulated, its value is recognized worldwide, and the market for high-grade 1987 pennies is hotter than ever. Collectors are paying record prices and investors are joining in too, viewing rare coins as tangible, inflation-resistant assets. Here's something to think about. In a world where digital money dominates, physical coins, especially rare ones, are becoming even more desirable. There's nostalgia, there's history, and there's the undeniable thrill of holding real value in your hands. It's not just about the money. It's about the story, the rarity, the connection to America's past. But here's the thing, you have to act fast. Every day, more of these coins are being found, sold, and locked into private collections, never to hit the open market again. The longer you wait, the slimmer your chances become. What if your million-dollar coin slips through your fingers because you didn't check your change? Imagine that for a second. You see a 1987 penny tomorrow, shrug and spend it. Then, next week, you read that another one just sold for nearly $1 million. Wouldn't that sting? That tiny flash of regret could haunt you for years. So go ahead, grab that jar of pennies. Search your drawers, glove compartments, and old piggy banks. You never know what you might find. And if you do find one, well, let's just say you'll never look at a penny the same way again. Because in a world chasing digital riches, sometimes the greatest treasure is something you've had all along. Keep your eyes open, stay curious, and remember, every coin tells a story. The next chapter could be yours, and it might just be worth a fortune. But before you go, make sure to subscribe, because in the next video, I'll reveal another ordinary coin hiding extraordinary value, and trust me, you'll want to know about this one before everyone else does. Don't miss it. Imagine pulling open that old coffee can in the kitchen drawer, the one filled with dusty coins and forgotten change, only to discover a single penny, brown, ordinary, almost worthless looking, and realizing that this small piece of metal could be worth nearly $1 million. It sounds impossible, doesn't it? But what if I told you the 1988 D. Lincoln penny, yes, the one you may have spent without a second thought, could actually make you wealthy beyond imagination? Here's the truth. In the world of coin collecting, rarity, condition, and history can transform the most overlooked pocket change into a life-changing discovery. And right now, the 1988 D. Lincoln penny is shocking collectors and investors across America. Some have sold for tens of thousands, and one specific variation, one single minting mistake, has been valued close to $988,000. Imagine what that could do for your life. Pay off debts, retire early, or finally live the comfortable lifestyle you've always dreamed of. But before you start emptying every jar of pennies you've ever owned, let's uncover why this coin is so special, how it became so valuable, and what exact details you need to look for before you unknowingly spend your fortune at the grocery store. In 1988, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. They were supposed to be ordinary coins, featuring the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But among this massive production, a small number of coins were struck using a leftover die from 1987, a tiny error, invisible to the untrained eye, but monumental in the world of numismatics. This mistake is known as the 1988 D reverse of 1989 variety. Now you might be thinking, how can something so small matter so much? The answer lies in precision. The U.S. Mint operates under strict standards, and when something goes wrong, when even a single die from the wrong year is used, it creates what collectors call a transitional error. Transitional errors are extremely rare, and they become the holy grail for serious collectors. That's why this particular 1988 D penny can be worth not just hundreds or thousands, but hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let's get practical. If you want to identify one of these rare coins, you'll need to look closely, very closely, at the back of the coin. On most 1988 D pennies, the FG initials of the coin's designer, Frank Gasparo, appear sharp and distinct near the Lincoln Memorial. But on the rare variety, the initials appear in a slightly different position and with a more delicate font, the style introduced in 1989. That's the telltale sign. If your coin shows this reverse design from 1989 but carries a 1988 D date on the front, you've struck gold, or should I say, copper-plated zinc treasure. Of course, the condition matters too. A coin that's scratched, worn, or dull will never reach top dollar, but a pristine, uncirculated example, graded MS-68 or higher, can fetch astronomical prices. In fact, collectors have reported private offers reaching nearly $988,000 for a flawless specimen. And here's where the story gets even more fascinating. That means your coin, sitting unassumingly in a jar or a wallet, could rival the value of luxury cars or even entire homes. Still, there's a catch. Most people who stumble upon these rare pennies don't even realize what they have. They spend them, trade them, or toss them aside. It's like watching someone accidentally throw away a winning lottery ticket. So if you've got a collection, or even just a few old coins lying around, now's the time to check. The market for rare U.S. pennies is booming, and every year, as more coins are discovered and graded, fewer truly untouched examples remain. That's scarcity. And scarcity drives value. It's a little ironic, isn't it? The coin we used to ignore, the one that used to buy a piece of gum or sit at the bottom of a car cup holder, is now commanding prices higher than most people's life savings. Makes you want to grab a magnifying glass, doesn't it? Because this isn't just about a penny, it's about opportunity. It's about how something seemingly worthless can hold incredible potential, waiting quietly for the right person to recognize it. And here's where the excitement builds. Imagine being that person who discovers it first. Picture yourself holding that shiny copper coin, realizing it's not just history in your hand, it's freedom. Freedom from financial stress. Freedom to choose how you live, where you live, and what dreams you pursue. All from a penny most people would overlook. But if you're waiting to check later, don't. Every day that passes, more collectors search, more coins are found, and the number of undiscovered gems shrinks. The window to find one before prices soar even higher is closing fast. That's why successful collectors act now. They know timing is everything. After all, who wants to be the person who says, "I used to have that coin," after it sells for millions? If you're new to this world, don't worry. It's easier than you think to start. You can begin by sorting through your change, checking your old coin rolls, or even visiting local estate sales and antique shops. You'd be surprised how often rare coins slip through unnoticed. A good magnifier, a bit of patience, and knowledge of what to look for. That's all it takes to turn an ordinary day into a life-changing one. And remember, the coin market isn't just about collecting. It's about investment. The most successful collectors treat their coins like assets, knowing that rarity, demand, and condition create real wealth. Coins like the 1988 D Lincoln penny have proven that the smallest treasures can yield the biggest rewards. History, artistry, and money, all combined in the palm of your hand. So the next time you hear that faint clink of a penny hitting the counter, think twice. Don't dismiss it as just spare change. It could be your ticket to financial freedom, your step toward the life you've always envisioned. The kind of life where your money works for you, where every decision feels lighter, and every day brings a sense of security you once only dreamed of. Somewhere out there, another 1988 D Lincoln penny is waiting to be discovered. Maybe it's in your wallet, your old coin jar, or that forgotten tin box in your attic. Will you be the one to find it before someone else does? The answer might just be sitting in your hand right now. Don't miss the chance. Start looking, because history doesn't repeat itself often, and when it comes to million-dollar pennies, the clock is already ticking. Imagine finding a single penny in your change jar that could change your entire financial future. You look down, it's a dull brown coin, ordinary, right? But what if I told you that this simple 1988 Lincoln penny without a mint mark could be worth close to $1 million? Yes, $988,000. One coin, 1 cent that could become your gateway to wealth. Sounds unbelievable? Stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this coin is so valuable, how to identify it, and how you might already own one sitting unnoticed in your home. Every year, billions of pennies are minted across the United States. They clink in pockets, vanish into couch cushions, and lie forgotten in drawers. But every so often, one of them is different. In 1988, something extraordinary happened at the U.S. Mint. A rare and almost impossible minting anomaly slipped through the presses, creating one of the most valuable modern pennies in existence. And here's the kicker. Most Americans have never even heard about it. Before we dive into the specifics of the 1988 no-mint mark penny, let's set the stage. In the late 1980s, the U.S. Mint transitioned designs and dies, essentially the metal stamps that create the coin's images. Mistakes during this process are extremely rare, but when they happen, collectors go wild. The 1988 penny without a mint mark from Philadelphia looks like every other penny at first glance. But under a magnifying glass, something magical appears. A tiny design mismatch that transforms this 1-cent coin into a fortune. So, what exactly makes the 1988 no-mint mark penny so special? It's called the 1988 reverse of 1989 variety. When the mint prepared dies for the next year, they accidentally used the new 1989 reverse die on some 1988 pennies. This created a mix-up in design details on the back of the coin. Specifically, the FG initials of the designer Frank Gasparo are sharper and set differently than they should be. To the naked eye, it looks ordinary, but to coin experts, it's a treasure. Now, here's where the story takes an exciting turn. These rare error pennies began surfacing in circulation, mixed in with millions of normal ones. A few lucky people noticed the difference and sent them to grading companies for authentication. Some of these verified 1988 no-mint mark reverse of 1989 pennies have sold for staggering prices at auction, up to $988,000 in pristine condition. Think about that. A penny that could pay off your house, buy you a new car, and still leave you enough to take an extended vacation somewhere sunny. You might be wondering, how can a tiny design difference make a penny worth so much? The answer lies in rarity and demand. Collectors crave these mistakes because they capture moments when human error met historical change. Only a handful of these 1988 error coins were ever made, and even fewer survive in excellent condition. When rarity meets collector frenzy, prices skyrocket. Imagine a bidding war among passionate collectors, each one determined to own a piece of minting history. That's how a copper-coated zinc penny becomes a nearly $1 million artifact. Let's pause for a second. How many times have you looked at a penny and thought, it's just 1 cent? Maybe you even tossed it aside. But that very habit could be costing you a fortune. What if you already have one of these valuable 1988 pennies tucked in an old coin jar, quietly waiting for its moment to shine? The thought alone is enough to make you check your coins tonight, isn't it? Here's how to identify the 1988 no-mint mark penny that could change your life. First, check the date. It must read 1988 and have no mint mark below the date. That means it was struck in Philadelphia. Then, flip it over. Look closely at the initials FG near the Lincoln Memorial. On the rare version, the initials appear closer to the building, and the G has a distinctive hook tail, unlike the normal design. You might need a magnifying glass, or even better, a jeweler's loupe, but spotting this difference could mean the difference between 1 cent and nearly $1 million. If you think you've found one, don't rush to clean it or polish it. Please don't. Cleaning a coin can destroy its collector value instantly. Instead, handle it carefully by the edges and place it in a soft holder. Then, contact a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC to have it authenticated. These services can confirm whether your penny is genuine and determine its grade, which directly affects its market value. A mint state coin, meaning it's in nearly perfect condition, can fetch hundreds of thousands, even close to that $988,000 mark. Now, let's be honest, finding one is rare but not impossible. And that's what makes it thrilling. Every great discovery starts with curiosity. Every collector's story begins with that one coin that changed everything. Maybe you're not a collector, but you want financial freedom. You want to live comfortably, provide for your family, or retire early. Sometimes, opportunities hide in plain sight, just like that 1988 penny. So, ask yourself, when was the last time you actually looked through your spare change? Could your next financial breakthrough be sitting in a jar, collecting dust? The people who found these coins weren't experts. They were ordinary folks who paid attention. Maybe that's the real lesson here. Wealth doesn't always come from chasing something new. Sometimes, it comes from noticing what's already in front of you. Let's have a little fun with this idea. Imagine walking into a coin shop with a penny and walking out with a cashier's check for nearly $1 million. What would you do next? Pay off your debts? Buy a classic car? Or maybe start that dream business? It's the kind of story that sounds like a fairy tale, but the best part is, it's completely real for those who spot the right coin. The demand for rare Lincoln pennies continues to grow. Auction houses are setting record-breaking prices as more people realize the hidden wealth in everyday coins. The market right now is hot. Coin collecting has seen a surge as Americans look for alternative investments and tangible assets in uncertain economic times. That means there's urgency. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to find these coins before they're locked away in private collections forever. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or open that dusty coin jar, look closely. That ordinary-looking 1988 penny without a mint mark might just be your golden ticket. And if it's not, who cares? You'll never look at your change the same way again. Because every coin tells a story, and sometimes that story is worth nearly $1 million. Keep searching, keep learning, and keep believing that even the smallest things can hold incredible value. Because sometimes, all it takes is one penny to turn an ordinary life into an extraordinary one. Imagine opening an old jar of pennies, the same one that's been sitting in your kitchen drawer for years. You dump them out expecting the usual brown, worn coins. But what if I told you that one of those pennies, specifically a 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, could be worth nearly $1 million today? Yes, a single cent that could change your financial future forever. Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, keep watching, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for and how an ordinary-looking penny could make you a fortune. Let's start with something most people don't realize. The 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny isn't rare because of its date. It's rare because of its condition, its unique characteristics, and in some cases, striking errors that make collectors lose their minds. When people hear no mint mark, they think it's common. After all, pennies without a mint mark usually come from Philadelphia, and millions were made there. But here's the secret: among those millions, a handful were struck with such precision, perfection, or rare die varieties that they've become legendary in the coin world. Now picture this: a penny from 1994 in pristine condition, graded at the highest level possible by a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC. The luster, the detail in Lincoln's face, the clarity of the lettering, all flawless. One of these coins sold for $994,000. That's right. A coin you might find in pocket change today was once valued at nearly $1 million on the collector's market. And people are still searching, still hoping to discover another one in circulation. So, what makes this penny so special? Let's go deeper. First, the no mint mark isn't an error. It just means the coin was struck in Philadelphia. But some 1994 Philadelphia pennies were produced with extraordinary die errors, like double dies, off-center strikes, or ghosted lettering that make them stand out dramatically. These rare minting mistakes transform a regular coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Imagine finding one of those. You'd go from rummaging through spare change to possibly cashing in for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not bad for a coin that costs less than a gumball. Now, here's where most people make a costly mistake: they underestimate condition. Coin collectors use a grading scale from 1 to 70, and that difference could mean the difference between pocket change and life-changing money. A circulated 1994 penny might get you a few cents or $1 if it's nice. But a mint state, uncirculated, or proof-like version could be worth thousands, even tens of thousands. And if it has an error or is one of the few perfect specimens ever found, that's when we reach six figures and beyond. You might be wondering, how can a coin this new, just from the 1990s be worth so much? The answer lies in supply, demand, and psychology. The 1994 penny is part of a modern generation of coins where perfection is incredibly hard to find. Most of them were struck quickly, used daily, and endured years of wear and tear. The few that survived untouched became unicorns in the eyes of serious collectors. Add the fact that more people today are hunting for modern rarities than ever before, and you get skyrocketing prices that no one would have believed 20 years ago. Let's put this into perspective. Imagine you own one of these pristine coins. You submit it for grading. Comes back as MS-70, flawless. Suddenly, you're getting offers from high-end collectors, dealers, and auction houses. People who have waited years for a coin like yours to appear. Before you know it, that penny you once ignored becomes your ticket to a new car, a home upgrade, or the investment capital you've been dreaming of. Isn't it wild to think a single coin can do that? But here's the catch: these coins don't reveal themselves easily. You have to know what to look for. Examine your 1994 pennies under bright light. Look closely at Lincoln's eyes, the Liberty inscription, and the word trust. Do the letters seem doubled? Is the design slightly misaligned? Even the tiniest imperfection could mean the difference between a regular penny and a five-figure payday. And if you find one in almost perfect condition with no scratches or marks, stop everything, because that could be your golden, copper ticket. Now, don't get discouraged if you check your change and don't find anything right away. Most great coin discoveries happen by people who persist. Some found their valuable coins while sorting jars they'd ignored for years. Others bought old coin rolls from the bank and hit the jackpot. The key is patience, knowledge, and a sharp eye. Remember, fortune often hides in plain sight. And here's the thing: these opportunities won't last forever. As more collectors wake up to the value of modern-era coins, the supply of untouched 1994 pennies will shrink. Prices are already climbing, and serious buyers are watching the market daily. Those who act now, who search, research, and protect their finds, could be sitting on life-changing profits within the next few years. The window is open, but not for long. It's kind of funny, isn't it? For decades, we've all overlooked pennies, tossing them into jars or leaving them on counters. Yet the smallest coin in circulation may hold the biggest financial surprise of your life. Who knew that something worth 1 cent could carry a story worth nearly $1 million? Before you rush off to start searching, here's one final thought. Every wealthy collector, every successful coin seller, started with curiosity and a single coin in hand. They didn't wait for luck. They learned, they looked, and they acted. The 1994 no-mint mark penny could be your opportunity to step into that world. So don't underestimate what's in your change jar. It might just be the start of your next great success story. And now that you know what to look for, here's the question. Will you take a second glance at that little copper coin in your pocket, or let it slip through your fingers again? Because one of them, somewhere out there, is still waiting to be found. And when it is, it could be worth $994,000 or even more. So go check your pennies. Your $1 million moment might be closer than you think. Imagine pulling out an old jar of change just to find that one penny. A 2002 Lincoln penny could be worth hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars. Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, it's true. One of these small, copper-colored coins recently sold for a jaw-dropping $202,000, and experts believe there could still be more of them hiding in everyday coin jars, drawers, and piggy banks across America. Here's the thing most people miss. The 2002 Lincoln penny isn't rare because of its age. It's rare because of the errors and conditions that set a few of these coins apart from the billions minted. And today, we're going to uncover what makes this unassuming 1-cent coin so special, how to identify the $1 million versions, and why the market for rare pennies is heating up faster than ever. Stick around to the end, because the final detail could be the one that turns your pocket change into life-changing money. To understand why this coin has skyrocketed in value, let's rewind for a moment. The year was 2002. The Denver Mint was churning out over 3 billion pennies featuring the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln. To most, it was just another coin, nothing new, nothing collectible. But as with many stories of hidden wealth, the magic happens in the details. A small number of coins left the mint with microscopic mistakes, double dies, off-center strikes, or plating errors that changed everything. Now, imagine being the person who accidentally spends one of these at a gas station for a pack of gum. You'd have literally handed away 6 figures without knowing it. It's the kind of thought that keeps collectors awake at night, and it's exactly why people are combing through their change again. Rarity. Out of billions minted, only a handful are known to exhibit the kind of minting error that collectors dream about. For instance, some have strong doubling on the words, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty." Others show a dramatic off-center strike, leaving parts of Lincoln's face missing or the rim completely distorted. These aren't factory defects to collectors, they're signatures of rarity, the fingerprints of fortune. And then, of course, there's condition. Even the most valuable error coin loses its worth if it's worn, scratched, or damaged. The coin that sold for $202,000? It was graded MS-69, almost perfect. In the world of coin grading, that's like finding a 4-leaf clover made of gold. Only a microscopic fraction of coins ever survive in such pristine condition, especially from circulation. So, if you've got a 2002 penny sitting somewhere in near mint shape, it's time to take a closer look. It could be worth far more than you imagine. But let's pause for a second. You might be thinking, okay, but how can a single penny be worth more than my car? It's a fair question, and the answer lies in scarcity, demand, and story. The coin market thrives on the human love of discovery and history. Each of these rare pennies is a time capsule from the U.S. Mint, a tiny piece of metal that survived the odds to become something extraordinary. Collectors aren't just buying coins. They're buying the thrill of owning something that almost no one else in the world possesses. Now, here's where it gets really interesting and a little urgent. Over the past decade, the market for rare coins has exploded. With inflation eating away at traditional savings, many investors have turned to tangible assets, gold, silver, and yes, rare pennies, as alternative stores of value. In 2024 alone, over 100 rare Lincoln cents sold for over $10,000 each. Some that were once worth pocket change are now selling for luxury car prices. The market is shifting fast, and those who know what to look for are the ones cashing in. So, how do you tell if your 2002 Lincoln penny could be one of the valuable ones? Start by checking for errors. Look closely, and I mean really closely, at Lincoln's face, the date, and the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Doubling, blurring, or distortions could be a huge sign. Next, inspect the coin's surface. Does it shine evenly, or are there strange patches or streaks? Improper plating can turn a penny into a small fortune. And if you have a high-quality magnifier or a jeweler's loupe, even better. It's like giving your coin a physical exam. If you find something promising, don't rush to sell it. Have it professionally graded by a service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade can make the difference between a $50 coin and a $50,000 one. The grading companies are trusted worldwide, and serious buyers won't pay top dollar without that seal of authenticity. It's an investment that can multiply your returns tenfold. Now, here's a question. How many people have already handled a 2002 penny without realizing it might be worth their mortgage? That's the scary part. Most people toss these coins into a jar, cash them in, or let them vanish into circulation again. Every time that happens, one potential fortune disappears forever. Don't let that be you. Because here's the truth. Stories like this aren't just about coins. They're about opportunity, the kind that hides in plain sight. You don't need to be born into wealth to find it. Sometimes, it's sitting quietly in your pocket, waiting for you to recognize its value. The 2002 Lincoln penny is proof of that. A 1-cent coin worth up to $202,000, found by someone who simply decided to look closer. So tonight, before you go to bed, take a moment to empty that coin jar. Sort through those old pennies. Because you never know, that small copper coin could be your ticket to financial freedom. And if you're thinking, nah, it's probably nothing, just remember, someone else once thought the same thing, right before their penny changed their life. Now here's the real twist. New varieties of rare 2002 pennies are still being discovered today, and experts believe there are even more out there, unrecognized, ungraded, and sitting in ordinary homes. Could one of them be yours? Only one way to find out. Start searching, stay curious, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the next person holding a penny worth a fortune. Because in the world of rare coins, Sometimes the smallest treasures create the biggest rewards.